My girlfriend said the cards say, "You'll betray me," and she let tarot cards decide our relationship, and it tore us apart. I am struggling to understand what is happening in my relationship, and whether I am being closed-minded or if this is as concerning as it feels to me. I am Dorian, and I work as a network engineer. I have been dating Celine for about 18 months now. She is a freelance graphic designer and artist, creative, passionate, incredibly beautiful, and when we first met, I was completely captivated by how different we were. She brought spontaneity and magic into my very structured, logical world. When we started dating, one of the things I found charming about Celine was her interest in spiritual practices. She did tarot readings as a hobby, had crystals around her apartment, talked about energy and intuition. I am pretty practical and science-minded, but I found her mystical side endearing. It felt like she was in touch with something I didn't understand, and I respected that we had different ways of seeing the world. Early in our relationship, she had sometimes do tarot readings for fun. She would pull cards about our weekend plans, or ask the deck silly questions about which movie to watch. It was playful and light-hearted, and I enjoyed watching her get excited about the imagery and symbolism. Even though I didn't believe the cards had any real power, I could appreciate them as a creative exercise. But over the past several months, something has changed dramatically, and I am not sure how to handle it. Celine has become completely dependent on tarot cards for every decision in her life, and I mean everything. She will not choose a restaurant without consulting her deck. She asks the cards what time to wake up, which route to take to work, whether she should call her mom back, what color shirt to wear. At first, I thought it was just a phase, maybe a way of dealing with some stress in her life. But it has gotten progressively more intense and is now affecting our relationship in ways that are making me deeply uncomfortable. She will not make any plans with me without first doing a reading to see if the timing is favorable. Last month we had tickets to see a band she loves, but she drew the Tower card that morning and insisted we couldn't go because it meant disaster was coming. We lost the money on those tickets. 2 weeks ago, I suggested we take a weekend trip to visit my parents, something we had been talking about for months. She did a reading and got several cards she interpreted as negative, so she refused to go. When I asked her to explain her reasoning, she said, "The cards are never wrong, Dorian. They are protecting us from something we cannot see. But here is what is really bothering me. She has started using the cards to make decisions about our relationship itself. She asks them if she should trust me, if I am being honest with her, if our relationship has a future." Last week, she got the Devil card during one of these readings, and spent 3 days treating me like I was hiding something from her, no matter how much I reassured her that I wasn't. When I try to talk to her about relying on the cards so heavily, she gets defensive and tells me I don't understand spiritual guidance. "You are too caught up in logic and material things," she will say. The cards see truths that our minds cannot comprehend. She has also started seeing this tarot reader named Morgana regularly, like 3 times a week regularly. She spends about $100 per session, and afterwards, she always comes home with new insights about our relationship that usually involve me needing to change something about myself, or us needing to avoid certain activities. After her last session with Morgana, Celine told me that the cards revealed I have blocked energy that is preventing our relationship from reaching its full potential. Apparently, I need to start meditating daily and stop eating meat, or else our love will be spiritually incompatible. I have tried to be supportive and open-minded, but I am starting to feel like I am in a relationship with her tarot deck rather than with her. Every conversation we have, every plan we make, every conflict we have, gets filtered through what the cards supposedly say. Yesterday was the breaking point for me. We were having dinner and talking about moving in together, something we have both wanted for a while. In the middle of the conversation, she suddenly got up and started shuffling her cards at the table. "I need to ask about this," she said. "This is too important to decide without guidance." She drew several cards, studied them for a long time, then looked at me with this sad expression. "The cards are saying it is not the right time," she said. "There is deception coming, and living together would amplify the negative energy." I asked her what she meant by deception, and she said the cards didn't specify, but that I should search my heart for what I might be hiding from her. I am not hiding anything from her. I love her. I want to build a future with her, and I have been nothing but honest about my feelings and intentions. But apparently, her tarot deck thinks otherwise. I am starting to feel like no matter what I do or say, I am always one bad card draw away from being seen as untrustworthy or incompatible. How do you have a relationship with someone who will not make any decisions based on how they actually feel or what they actually want, but only on what some cards supposedly tell them? Am I being closed-minded? Should I be more accepting of her spiritual practices? Or is this level of dependency on external guidance unhealthy for a relationship? I love this woman, but I feel like I am losing her to something I don't understand and cannot compete with. Update 1. Thank you to everyone who responded to my original post. Reading your comments helped me realize that what I was experiencing wasn't just a spiritual difference, but something much more concerning about how decisions are made in our relationship. I decided to talk to my best friend Alistair about everything that has been happening. Alistair and I have been friends since college. He is level-headed, non-judgmental, and has always given me good advice about relationships. I laid out the whole situation for him: the constant card readings, the canceled plans, the expensive sessions with Morgana, the way Celine has been treating me based on what the cards supposedly say about my character and intentions. Alistair listened without interrupting, but I could see his expression getting more concerned as I talked. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. "Can I ask you something?" he said finally. "Sure. Are you dating Celine, or are you dating her tarot deck?" The question hit me like a slap. "What do you mean?" "I mean, when was the last time Celine made a decision about your relationship based on what she actually wanted or felt? When was the last time she chose to spend time with you because she missed you, rather than because the cards said it was favorable? When was the last time she resolved a conflict by talking through her feelings instead of consulting her deck?" I tried to think of examples but couldn't come up with any recent ones. Everything in our relationship had become filtered through those cards. "It sounds to me," Alistair continued, "like you are in a relationship where you are constantly being judged and evaluated by a third party that has no actual knowledge of you or your relationship. Except instead of it being another person, it is a deck of cards that gets interpreted by someone who doesn't know you at all." He was right, and it was sobering to hear it put so clearly. "The thing is," he said, "healthy relationships require both people to take responsibility for their choices and feelings. If she cannot make decisions about your relationship without consulting cards, she is not actually choosing to be with you. She is letting random chance decide whether you are worth her time." That conversation with Alistair gave me the clarity I needed to have a serious talk with Celine about what has been happening. I approached it carefully, waiting for a time when she seemed relaxed and we could talk without interruptions. I told her I loved her and wanted to understand her spiritual practices better, but that I was concerned about how much our relationship had become dependent on tarot readings. Her response was immediate and defensive. "You don't understand how guidance works," she said. "The cards don't make decisions for me. They reveal truths that I cannot see on my own." I tried to explain that I wasn't questioning her spiritual beliefs, but that I was feeling like I couldn't connect with her anymore because every interaction we had was mediated by what the cards supposedly said about me or us. "Maybe that is because you are not spiritually open," she said. "Morgana says that people with blocked energy often resist divine guidance because it threatens their ego." The fact that she was quoting her tarot reader's opinions about me, someone who has never met me, instead of addressing my actual concerns, was incredibly frustrating. I asked her if she could remember the last time she had made a decision about our relationship based purely on her own feelings, without consulting any cards. She looked at me like I had asked her to do something dangerous. Why would I ignore guidance when it is available? That would be irresponsible and foolish. "But what about your own intuition?" I asked. "What about your own feelings about me and our relationship?" "The cards help me understand my true feelings," she said. "They cut through the illusions and show me reality." I realized in that moment that she genuinely believed she couldn't trust her own judgment anymore. She would become so dependent on external validation that she had lost faith in her ability to know what she wanted or how she felt. "Celine," I said, "do you actually want to be with me? Not what the cards say, not what Morgana interprets. What do you want?" She stared at me for a long time, and I could see her struggling with the question. "I don't know how to answer that without guidance," she finally said. That broke my heart. The woman I love has become so reliant on outside sources to tell her how to feel that she cannot access her own emotions anymore. But what happened next was even worse. She got up, grabbed her cards, and started shuffling. I need to ask about this conversation, she said. Something feels off about the energy you are bringing to this discussion. I watched her draw cards and study them, waiting for them to tell her how to feel about me expressing concerns about our relationship. It was surreal and deeply sad. After several minutes, she looked up with a troubled expression. The cards are showing me deception and hidden motives, she said. Are you trying to manipulate me into abandoning my spiritual practices? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had tried to have an honest conversation about our relationship, and she was consulting cards to determine whether my motives were pure. No, Celine, I said. I am trying to have a real conversation with you about how I am feeling. But you cannot even engage with that without asking cards to tell you how to respond. The cards protect me from making mistakes, she said. They help me see through emotional manipulation. That is when I realized that our relationship had become impossible. She couldn't trust her own feelings, couldn't make decisions based on her own wants and needs, and couldn't even have a conversation about problems without consulting an external authority. I am not trying to control her spiritual beliefs, but I cannot be in a relationship where I am constantly being evaluated by forces that have nothing to do with who I actually am or how I actually treat her. Edit 1. Several people have pointed out that this sounds like an addiction or obsessive behavior rather than healthy spiritual practice. I am starting to see it that way too. Edit 2. Some commenters have asked about Morgana's role in this. I think she has found a vulnerable person and is exploiting her need for guidance rather than helping her develop confidence in her own judgment. Edit 3. A few people have suggested couples therapy, but Celine has already said she would only go if the cards told her it was the right time. And yes, I see the problem with that. Update 2. What happened this week has shown me just how far this situation has spiraled beyond anything resembling a normal relationship. And I am honestly still processing it all. After our last conversation, things between Celine and I had been tense but stable. She was doing her usual daily card readings, but she seemed to be trying to include me more in discussing what they meant, which I appreciated as an effort to bridge our different perspectives. Tuesday evening, I had planned a surprise dinner for us. Nothing elaborate, just cooking her favorite meal and setting up a nice evening at home to reconnect and spend quality time together. I had been working extra hours lately and felt like we needed some uninterrupted time to focus on each other. When she got home from a session with Morgana, I could tell immediately that something was wrong. She looked upset and was avoiding eye contact with me. "We need to talk," she said, and the tone made my stomach drop. She sat down across from me at the kitchen table and pulled out her tarot deck, which was already becoming a familiar sight whenever we had serious conversations. "I did a reading about us today," she said. "The cards are showing me something I don't want to believe, but I cannot ignore the signs anymore." She spread out several cards between us. I don't know much about tarot, but I could see she had drawn some cards that looked ominous. One had a figure with swords. Another showed a tower being struck by lightning. "The Seven of Swords appeared," she said, pointing to a card showing a figure sneaking away with armfuls of swords. "This represents theft, deception, betrayal. Someone is lying to me and planning to hurt me." I looked at the cards, then at her face, trying to understand what was happening, and the tower. She continued, pointing to the lightning-struck tower card. "This means sudden revelation, the collapse of illusions. Everything I thought I knew is about to be destroyed." "Celine, what are you saying?" "I am saying the cards are warning me that you are going to betray me," she said, tears starting to form in her eyes. "They are telling me that staying in this relationship will lead to devastation." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. "What betrayal? What are you talking about? I haven't done anything wrong." "The cards don't lie," she said. "They see things we cannot see. Maybe you haven't betrayed me yet, but you are going to. The signs are all there." I tried to reason with her, pointing out that I had never given her any reason to doubt my loyalty or honesty. I reminded her of all the ways I had shown my commitment to her and our relationship. "But the Seven of Swords is very clear," she insisted. Morgana confirmed it. "She said the energy around you has been shifting, becoming darker." She could see the deception in the cards even before I told her about my concerns. The fact that this tarot reader I would never met was apparently analyzing my character and predicting my future behavior based on cards was infuriating. But I tried to stay calm. "What if the cards are wrong?" I asked. "What if there is no betrayal coming?" She looked at me like I had suggested something blasphemous. The cards are never wrong. They might be interpreted incorrectly sometimes, but they don't lie. If they are showing betrayal, betrayal is coming. So you are going to end our relationship based on something that hasn't happened and might never happen. I am going to protect myself from pain that I can see coming, she said. The cards are giving me a chance to leave before you destroy me. I realized in that moment that there was no reasoning with this logic. In her mind, the cards had revealed an absolute truth about my character and our future, and no amount of evidence to the contrary would change that. What would it take for you to believe that there is no betrayal coming? I asked. Nothing, she said simply, because the cards have already shown me the truth. I sat there staring at this woman I had loved for 18 months, realizing that she was prepared to end our relationship, not because of anything I had done or any problems we would actually had, but because some cards told her that I was going to hurt her in some unspecified way at some unspecified time. So that is it, I said, 1.5 years together, and you are going to throw it away because of a card reading. I am not throwing anything away, she said. I am accepting what the universe is trying to tell me. That night, I called Alistair and told him what had happened. He listened to the whole story, then said something that crystallized everything for me. She is not breaking up with you because she doesn't love you. She is breaking up with you because she is more afraid of her tarot cards than she is willing to fight for your relationship. He was right. Celine had become so dependent on external guidance that she had lost the ability to take risks, make choices, or trust her own feelings about people. The cards had become her emotional safety net, but they would also become a prison that prevented her from fully engaging with real life. I realized I couldn't compete with an oracle that claimed to predict the future. No matter how good our relationship was, no matter how much love and trust we built between us, one bad card reading could destroy everything. The next day, I told her that if she truly believed I was going to betray her, then we should end things. Not because I agreed with her reasoning, but because I couldn't be in a relationship where I was constantly under suspicion for crimes I hadn't committed and might never commit. Her response was telling. Instead of fighting for us or reconsidering her interpretation, she seemed relieved. The cards were right, she said. You are already pulling away from me, just like they predicted. I wasn't pulling away because I wanted to hurt her. I was pulling away because staying in a relationship where your partner expects you to betray them based on a card reading is emotionally impossible. Edit 1. Several people have asked if she seemed sad about ending things. She did seem sad, but also convinced that she was making the right choice based on divine guidance. It was like she was mourning something inevitable rather than something she had any control over. Edit 2. Some commenters have pointed out that this sounds like she has developed an anxiety disorder and is using tarot as a way to feel like she has control over uncertainty. That makes a lot of sense to me now. Edit 3. For those asking what the betrayal was supposed to be, the cards apparently didn't specify, just that betrayal was coming from me at some point. How do you defend against such a vague accusation? Final update: it has been a week since Celine ended our relationship based on a tarot reading that predicted I would betray her, and I wanted to give everyone a final update on how this has all resolved. Your comments have helped me understand this situation so much better than I could have on my own. The immediate aftermath was surreal. Celine didn't block me or cut contact completely, but every interaction we had was filtered through her interpretation of what the cards were telling her about me. She texted me 3 days after our breakup to say that she had done another reading, and the cards were showing lingering connection between us, but that she needed to be careful not to fall back into patterns that would lead to the predicted outcome. When I asked if she missed me or regretted her decision, she said she couldn't trust her emotions because they were clouded by attachment, and that she needed to rely on divine guidance to see clearly. It was heartbreaking to realize that even after our relationship ended, she couldn't access her own feelings about what had happened. Everything had to be mediated through those cards. But the most revealing thing happened when I went to her apartment to pick up some things I had left there. She was in the middle of what looked like an intense tarot session. Cards spread all over her coffee table, notebooks full of interpretations, multiple decks arranged around her living room. I have been trying to understand why the betrayal prediction was so strong, she told me. Morgana thinks there might be past life karma involved, or maybe you were unconsciously channeling negative energy from someone in your family line. The lengths she was going to, in order to make the card's prediction make sense. Even though nothing had actually happened, showed me how completely she had lost touch with reality. I realized that no matter what I did or didn't do, she would find a way to interpret it as evidence that the cards were right. If I tried to maintain friendship, that would be manipulation. If I cut contact, that would be the predicted abandonment. If I was kind, that would be deception. If I was distant, that would be betrayal. My friend Alistair came over yesterday to help me process everything, and he made an observation that I think captures the whole situation perfectly. She didn't choose the cards over you, he said. She chose fear over love. The cards were just the tool she used to avoid the vulnerability and uncertainty that comes with really loving someone. He was absolutely right. Celine had become so afraid of being hurt that she had found a system that promised to protect her from all future pain by predicting it in advance. But the cost of that protection was giving up her ability to take emotional risks, trust people, or make choices based on what she actually wanted. I heard through mutual friends that she has become increasingly isolated. Several of our friend group have expressed concern about her behavior, saying she has been canceling social events based on card readings and has been asking the tarot deck for guidance about every minor interaction with people. One friend told me that Celine did a reading before deciding whether to attend a mutual friend's birthday party. And when she drew challenging cards, she not only didn't go but also sent a long message to the birthday girl explaining that the universe was warning her away from the event for spiritual reasons. People are starting to distance themselves from her, not because they don't care about her, but because every interaction has become about what her cards are telling her rather than about genuine connection. The saddest part is that I think she is going to interpret their distance as confirmation that the cards were right to warn her about people's intentions, rather than recognizing that her behavior is pushing people away. As for Morgana, the tarot reader, I did some research and found out she has been cited by the Better Business Bureau for taking advantage of vulnerable clients. Several reviews mentioned that she encourages complete dependency on readings rather than helping people develop their own intuition. It seems like she has found a lucrative business model in keeping people afraid and uncertain. I feel terrible knowing that Celine is spending hundreds of dollars a week to maintain a relationship with someone who profits from keeping her anxious and dependent. But ultimately, I cannot save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Celine has chosen to live in a world where external forces control her choices and emotions, and there is nothing I can do to convince her to trust herself instead. I am sad about losing Celine, but I am also relieved to be out of a situation where I was constantly being evaluated by standards I couldn't understand or meet. No one should have to live under constant suspicion for crimes they haven't committed, based on predictions that may never come true. I hope someday Celine finds the courage to trust herself and her own feelings again. I hope she realizes that uncertainty and vulnerability are parts of life that cannot be eliminated through divination, and that trying to control the future often prevents us from enjoying the present. Edit 1. Several people have asked about my own healing process. I am doing well. It has been freeing to make decisions based on what I actually want rather than trying to anticipate what mysterious forces might disapprove of. Edit 2. To those suggesting I should have been more supportive of her spiritual journey, I absolutely support people exploring spirituality and finding meaning through various practices. But there is a difference between using tools for self-reflection and becoming completely dependent on external guidance for every life decision. Edit 3. For anyone in a similar situation, trust is the foundation of healthy relationships. If your partner cannot trust their own feelings about you without constant external validation, the problem isn't with you, it is with their relationship to uncertainty and control.